So, Brett Karin, what is the new wheel?
You want to take that one?
You go for it.
Now that it exists, it is something. At the beginning, it didn't exist and it wasn't something. It wasn't even a dream. It was an interesting idea.
No.
No.
We got into the e-bike world without knowing really anything. Well, the first time I learned about electric bikes, one of my classmates was an Afghan war vet. His friends in Pittsburgh were building electric bikes, and he showed me some pictures and like a sales sheet on electric bikes, and he's like, "What do you think of this? Do you think this would sell to students?" And I thought it was like the worst idea ever. And I was like, why would you want to put an electric motor on a bicycle? That's so strange. A little bit of time went by and I was ruminating on it, and I thought, well, maybe this isn't such a bad idea. And so I asked Karin, and she thought it was a really bad idea too. I rode bikes just to get to class, and then I got involved in this this really early bike share program at Cal.
We received a grant and some grant funding initially, and we bought 20 bikes and we put them on campus and we checked them out to students, faculty, and staff.
When I graduated in 2010, it was not the best time for finding a job in other places. And so I kind of looked at my options and I figured that maybe it was better if I tried to come up with a new business myself. At that point, I had ridden bicycles, but I hadn't tried an electric bike. But I saw the Trek bikes, and I saw there was a store called Lombardi Sports. They had one sort of in the corner, and it was like half charged. And they're like, oh yeah, sure, you can try it. And so they brought it out, and I tried it, and that was the first experience in an electric bike that was like, holy cow, this is amazing. And so I reached out to Michael DeVisor. He was interested in having representation in San Francisco, so I worked out doing a consignment of 4 bikes. Had no money on the line. Trusted that I would pay him back.
Some guy,
some 22-year-old twerp.
The new wheel has evolved, I think, almost unrecognizably in the last 10 years. I mean, it started in our apartment. Brett was running the whole show. It was Brett in a trailer, and it was really simple and really basic.
I created a website from our apartment, and I built a little booking system for booking a test ride.
Is it on?
Yeah.
I'm Brett Thurber of the New Wheel, San Francisco, and I am going to transport these bikes after a long ride, or a long test ride day in the Golden Gate Park. I'm going to bring them back to our shop. Okay, here we go.
I made a deal with the farmers markets that I could go there, and I set out a little table and I brought a bike. It's a good way to start because I got all the feedback, 60% negative, like, why the hell would you want to put a motor on a bicycle? Like, this is the stupidest idea. Wow, it's so heavy. And
stuck with it for week in and week out while people didn't have an idea what an electric bike was.
Pretty quickly I realized that doing mobile, like the way that I was doing it, just was not particularly viable. And then my friend, Brendan, his brother, Dylan, was opening a little storefront in North Beach to do rental bikes. And he had a tour company called Dylan's Tours. And in exchange, I got this little spot in his store to show the electric bikes.
He had one sign that said the New Wheel, it was very small. And then he had a stand, which wasn't a good spot in the bike shop, but it was only one bike.
We had maybe one customer a day if we were on a good day.
Oh, it was amazing if we had a customer come. So Brett and I found this spot.
Oh, you can go.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you. Brett and I found this spot, and the landlord leased it to us. We were really stoked. It was a huge deal because we signed this lease on this space that just feels like the biggest. It's a 3-year commitment. We're freaking out. And so we bring my dad to come see it, my parents to come see it. And the first thing my dad says is, oh, this is way too small. And we were like, you are kidding me.
Without Michael, I don't think we would have been able to present ourselves in a professional way so quickly and so from the get-go.
The miracle of the Cortlandt store was the location on the hill in this wonderful neighborhood. I mean, I don't think they had an idea of how wonderful the neighborhood was when we moved in. but it is a very friendly neighborhood. I mean, it is a small town in a big city.
And we got going, and the lease in December, and we opened in March. And 2 days before we opened, we got married, Karin and I. I mean, we both knew from a very, very, very early on that we were gonna be together for a long time, so.
San Francisco is a microcosm of the perfect storm for e-bikes, who they are, what they do, how they do it. You couldn't have had a better shop in a better place.
So I decided I wouldn't go to medical school. I realized I was actually able to do exactly what I wanted to do in public health, which was work with people in a way that was meaningful in terms of making a positive difference in their lives. The way we learned how to create this business was just by doing everything. I mean, my dad came on pretty early, so he had, this history from the Eames office of display, like of museum exhibit display and like airport displays. That little twist, right? Like making this store nice, putting, shelves up that are made out of walnut and making it real and not kind of like futzy and superficial feeling. I think that context did give e-bikes a cachet in San Francisco that was a part of the mix.
But things were going really well, and I think we were at Interbike. We were talking to the Stromer contingent, and I think we were thinking about opening another store, but we kind of like committed to it with Stromer. They were super bullish about, e-bikes and growth and all of this stuff. We kind of committed to it, but then we had to do it.
There's this place we found. It's far away. It's where there's going to be a train station, there's going to be a ferry terminal, there's bike routes that go literally every direction. There's a freeway that we're competing with head on, and there's going to be the new wheel, too.
If you're not familiar with the Bay Area, Larkspur is like kind of the transportation hub of Marin County.
I mean, I couldn't have dreamed of a better location as far as like ferry and bike lanes, and it was just outside here, it was all gravel. It was like a really horrible little street, but it was just about to be repaved and stripped for bike lane, and they were just about to build a bike path over Sir Francis Drake, and like everything was just on the cusp, and also the train.
4.5 years ago, when the shop here in Larkspur opened up, I was hired on to be the mechanic at this shop. So at the beginning, it was just Brett and myself working, which was really exciting because it was very busy.
Literally, within 6 months of opening that store in 2016, they were, doing almost as much business as they were doing in their store in San Francisco.
Luckily, they haven't been poisoned from a long past in the bike industry. They come in fresh, they come in with a vision, they execute it strong, and determined, and not so easy to be pushed off their path. I really commend them for coming in and building up this roadmap and a little bit what I would call a progressive bike shop.
Our role is like to continuously be learning and pushing. And right now, I think what we're learning toward and pushing toward is like becoming better and better leaders of an organization instead of just doers of everything. I mean, now, like, Brett and I don't make up the business. We lead the business, and there are, 27 other people who really are the lifeblood of what we do.
Everybody works hard, everybody tries to do the best job possible. What I like is that everybody tries to be very responsible.
Bike industry is renowned for sucking at supporting mechanics, quality salespeople, quality experiences for customers. And the goal of the new wheel is to change that. We want to be able to have full-time jobs that are well paid for people who are bicycle professionals, just like you have automobile professionals in service and sales. Brett's coming through.
And so often I think businesses suffer when the ego becomes the dominating force. So I think there's something kind of interesting about the fact that the new wheel is one of probably a small number of businesses in their space that are run by a functional married couple.
As a person, I've never understood the work-life separation, and I grew up in a culture that there never was any separation there. And the challenge is, like, you know, we had a baby, and so everything has to be reworked and refigured and readjusted. And it's challenging, but it's sort of challenging the way life is challenging.
I was really hoping they'd make it. I thought it was a good sign that it expanded. Then I hear they're opening a service center.
So I'm down here in the service center where most of our technical service professionals work.
We have thousands of customers now, and they all have a routine schedule of getting service on their bikes. The fundamental basis for the new wheel is that we don't just sell things, we make sure that they meet their potential through service.
The goal is to elevate the ability to do really high quality work on people's bikes. Because if the promise is that this bicycle is a car replacement, that you can use it regularly and heavily, then the quality of the service that you would expect on that vehicle is really significant.
One of, I think, the biggest accomplishments that we have achieved together at the New Wheel is the creation of this event called Super Bicycle. It's a 2-day festival that happens in Marin County. There was like music and food and local politicians, and nearly 1,000 people came to the first Super Bicycle, and we decided to do it again the next year, and we nearly doubled that number. This is really an inviting event that's really aimed at like families and regular people and older riders and young people who don't want to drive a car when they turn 16.
After my trip to see the Super Bicycle, I went to Germany, and every dealer I met, basically I told, you gotta do something like they did. It's like celebrating the bike, it's celebrating the family. Every dealer I said, do that in your city, do it in your shop, we do it together.
5 years ago, even when I rode to work, I would get really lucky if I passed a new wheeler or even an e-biker on the street. And now it's literally impossible to ride anywhere without seeing an electric bike, without seeing a bike from the New Wheel. And that really indicates that we are transforming the lived experience of what it means to be in this place.
Every car that's off the road, because there's one extra person on a bike, that's a plus for that city, that's a plus for the planet, it's a plus for that person.
You know, we're in a moment, 2020 is this moment of like real palpable change in our world. And part of it that I feel pretty optimistic about is I think that there's a very practical move to like the richness of your local life. I think e-bikes will have a huge part to play in that. That like if you really want to enjoy your daily commute, if you really want to enjoy the place you live and be able to ride out to a mountain or get some, you know, go to the ocean or whatever, this is the perfect technology.
It's been 10 years, and when we tell people that, they are like, wow, you've been around for a long time. But from my perspective, it's like we were just learning the last 10 years, really. And we're starting to hit our stride. A lot of businesses that you would get into, if you open a restaurant, like everyone eats, everyone knows they want, you know, yeah, you gotta make your menu right and all this, but like you're not like telling people, oh yeah, food, it's a really good idea. And for the last 10 years, we've been telling people, yeah, food, it's a really good idea. And so now,
spending a long time doing that.
It takes months to convince someone to eat. And so like the future, I think, is for bikes in cities and e-bikes specifically is absolutely phenomenal, and we're just at the beginning of it.
And we'll ride.